Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 7th of July and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in the today's video, we'll discuss the entire analysis of Hindu newspaper, all the articles with the background and way forward we'll take. And I would also like to tell you that you can download the explainer notes of this session from our Telegram channel. Link for the Telegram is given in the description box in YouTube. Now, first of all, let's see the overview of entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are actually important in the today's newspaper. So guys, here largely we have the political issues with respect to the political crisis going in Maharashtra. For UPSC examination, you are not required to go in this political dimension. Okay, then further moving on, after that, freedom of expression being misused in Canada by anti-India elements, Ministry of External Affairs. So basically we have seen this thing, basically guys, that in Canada in the recent there have been certain issues that have happened. There was also many of the Khalistani elements also that has made certain slogans. Okay, so many number of times this particular thing has been there. Okay, so recently there was basically a kind of a march was also taken for the Operation Blue Star that was there. So this is the issue. Now the countries should need to keep in mind the sensitivities of India in this particular respect. Then further moving on, as envoy says, G20 summit is key event for Russia. Putin visit now a possibility. So basically guys, right now India is leading the G20 and in September summit for G20 is to be held. Now there were the speculations whether the Russian president will be visiting G20 or not, largely due to this Russia-Ukraine crisis going on. But now it seems that he might be coming. Now one thing I want to tell you guys, that you are not required to track all these articles every day, that okay, this leader might come, that leader might not come, this that. When this G20 meet will happen, the key takeaways that will come, that you need to see, okay, for the exam point of view. So just the thing is that every day on G20, this date, this venue, etc., articles will come. Don't waste too much of time on that. Fine. Then in we have then these advertisements in city section also, largely these advertisements, regional issues, etc., have been given. So nothing much important is there. So guys, directly we will be moving and we will be skipping to there is this Metro Plus article. So we will be skipping to the editorial section where we have the relevant articles. Secondly guys, if you have the different edition of Hindu newspaper, some other edition, you might have some different articles in the regional section. So largely they are related to law and order, regional political issues, etc. Rarely some important articles do come there. India needs a uniform civil code. We'll see this article. After that guys, moving on in this particular direction, internationalizing the rupee, we'll see this article also, a good article. Limits of expansion. So this article talks about the recent OMSS scheme changes and recent meet of the food ministers. We'll take what are the key takeaways. Then should internet shutdowns be used to maintain public order? We'll take this article also. Then guys, further moving on, are science journalist a scientist? So this is a notebook article. In the notebook article, the journalist gives some of the accounts from their own stories, their own viewpoints, etc. Okay, so again moving on in this section, much substance is not there. Then further, we have this text and context. Now guys, in many of the regional editions, you don't get the text and context section. Okay, but in Delhi we have, and this contains some good articles. So first article is understanding the dark patterns. We'll take this article for the exam. What are the provisions of the High Sea Treaty? This article also we will take. Then after that, this is from the archives article. From the archives article means that this article is old. It was published earlier. Now again it is getting republished. So this article was actually published on 19th May 2022. 19 May 2022, and the article is talking about that if there will be the delimitation that will be announced, then what will be the impacts. So it was expected that in 2022 that was be announced monsoon session. Okay, now basically guys, the article is largely talking about that in the south they have always called north as an upper country. Okay, and the members in the Constituent Assembly who was also from the north and all such kind of things. Largely guys, the article first of all already has been published, so we have discussed it already. Fine. And secondly is that it doesn't contain much of that substance for the exam also. Okay. Then further moving on, MP walks out as panel chair, disallows debate on Manipur. US ready to help in the Manipur crisis. Okay, here we have one article. Supreme Court asks NGO to move center against Sarpanch Patism in politics. So what is the Sarpanch Patism? We'll see this with respect to the examination. Then further moving on in this particular direction, here largely we have the political issues. India, France gear up for Modi's visit, focus on key deals. Okay, so basically guys, here we can see this particular thing, that India and France will be marking 25 years of the strategic partnership, and the Prime Minister will be traveling to the France, to the France on the National Day parade. Okay, so 25 years of the diplomatic relations are being marked. Okay, so again, moving in this direction guys, when the visit will happen, the key takeaways that will come, then see, till now no need to track it. Okay, this is the way we do, okay, in the classes, because we know this particular thing, that right now whatever the things are coming, this might happen, that might happen, this might be signed or not, all these things will all obviously be clarified when the meet will happen and key agreements would be signed. Then further moving on, after that, moving on here, Chandrayaan 3 launch on July 14, lunar landing on August 23 or 24. So yesterday also we have seen that the lander rover was docked with the Chandrayaan. Now Chandrayaan 3, it is the India's moon project. So Chandrayaan 2 was not able to achieve all the targets that were expected. So for that, Chandrayaan 3 is being launched, which will be launched on July 14. Okay, then Supreme Court agrees to hear Delhi ordinance challenge. So guys, this issue also we have discussed many number of times. So recently Supreme Court ruled that civil servants in Delhi will be controlled by the elected government, Aam Aadmi Party government. Then central government came out with an ordinance, took that power away from the elected government and gave the power to a body, 3-member body, and finally to the LG. So this thing will be heard in Supreme Court. Here, Supreme Court asked UGC to detail the actions taken against caste discrimination. We'll take this. Then, guys, further moving on after that, so Meta has started a rival to Twitter, that is the Threads. Okay. Then in business page, we have one article, Finance Ministry pushes for reforms to spur FDI. So we will see this particular article with respect to the examination. India will need at least 20 lakh deep tech engineers. Okay, then guys, we have the sports section, and in last we have this science section. Okay, just a minute. So in the last we have the science section. Now the article in the science section today is not that important. Yesterday we have seen the article of the article of the smart bandages, which was an important one and a good one. As migraine treatment evolves, understanding too gets better. So the article is talking about the headache, how many percentage of people get headache, okay, migraine headaches, okay. Then there are the papers, that what are the different researchers on headache and migraine, what researches they have given and all such kind of things. Okay, what are the non-pharmacological therapy for headaches, etc. So for UPSC examination, much substance is not there in this particular article. Okay, so fine, I hope you understand it. So this is all about the overview, and now let's discuss all these relevant articles one by one in the detail. So in every class guys, we start with the GS quotation, which you can use in your answers to complement your answers, GS 1, 2, 3, 4. So today we'll take the quotation from the Aung San Suu Kyi of Myanmar. She says, democracy is when the people keep a government in check. So democracy is when the people keep the government in check. So in democracy, the ultimate authority is people and not the government. Government is because of the people, and people are the one who will keep the government accountable. If people cannot question the government, if people cannot keep the government in accountability, then it is not the true democracy. So we can use this particular idea in GS paper number 2 as well as in political ethics GS 4 and in the essay paper. Now starting up with the first article for today, understanding the dark patterns. Understanding the dark patterns. So basically guys, first of all, this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 4, ethics of advertising. GS paper number 4, ethics of advertising. Secondly guys, we will take this particular article also with respect to the GS paper number 2, consumer rights. Consumer rights. Okay, now first of all, let me tell you some basic background information that you should know. So basically guys, what has happened recently, the Department of Consumer Affairs has asked the Advertising Standard Council of India, ASCI, that you should design some of the strategy or some of the framework to reduce the dark patterns in advertising. Now, what is the dark pattern in advertising? So basically guys, the idea of or the word dark pattern in advertising for the first time was given by the Harry Bringle in the UK. So he defines that the dark patterns are the deceptive strategies, unethical strategies that are often adopted by the companies to deceive the customers to their platform, to deceive the customers on their website. Okay, just to attract the customers. These are the dark patterns. For example, guys, we have discussed this earlier also. For example, you are scrolling the Facebook, and in Facebook you come across advertisement of a t-shirt which is priced just 49 rupees, and the t-shirt is very attractive. Now you just click on that link, you are diverted to a website. On that website, when you go, you find that this 49 rupees t-shirt is sold out, and there are other similar design t-shirts that are there, but they are expensive, like 400 rupees, 500 rupees. Okay, but that 49 rupees t-shirt is there, but it is sold out. Now actually this t-shirt was never on the sale. It is just to attract the customers on the site. That is the dark pattern in advertising. That is bringing certain strategies to deceive and to trick the customers on their website, on their platform, etc. Now there are many such strategies of the dark patterns. We'll discuss them one by one. For example, sneak into basket is one dark pattern. Now what happens in this sneak into basket? So basically guys, often when you are shopping on the e-commerce websites, they will deceptively be adding some product in your basket which you have not asked for, which you didn't add it, but they will add some product in your basket, and you often don't check. You pay the money and then product arrives at your home. Sometimes guys, free samples are being added to your basket without telling you. Okay, you cannot even you will also not raise any complaint because it is a free sample that they have given. So basically this is something. Why this is problematic? Because without your consent, without your approval, without your permission, they have done this particular thing. Then next is the pop-up request for personal information. For example guys, that often you go on a website and a pop-up will come that you have to add your email, you have to add your mobile number if you have to proceed forward. Now there is no place where you can deny that. Okay, obviously often the cross button that you deny, I don't want to give that information, that will be hidden somewhere that it is not discoverable. So it becomes a compulsion that you have to give your personal information. You have to give your personal information. Now it infringes the consumer's right to privacy of their data, that is getting impacted. After that, there are other patterns of dark advertising also. For example, creating a false sense of urgency. Fine. For example, whenever you go onto certain websites, they show a product and they say okay, that limited time offer, sale ending in 30 minutes, sale ending in 30 minutes, sale ending in 24 hours. So a sense of urgency that you have to do it now. Now often people under this pressure, they make wrong choices. Then confirm shaming. Now basically guys, if you are not buying a particular product, if you are not taking a particular services, then basically a kind of a shaming is being done. You are being criticized that you are not supporting this cause, you are not supporting this particular belief. Okay, then there is advertising one product which is of a superior quality but delivering you the product which is of inferior quality. Okay, fine. So these are all the strategies that are there. Many other strategies are also there, but these are the most important, most prominent one strategies into the dark pattern that are there. Now all of these particular things, why they are wrong? They are wrong because guys, we have the Consumer Protection Act of 2019, and this Consumer Protection Act of 2019 has this section 2 subclause 9 which talks about the consumer rights. And in the consumer rights, consumer right to know, consumer right to get informed, consumer right that the consumer have the full consent, all these rights have been mentioned into the section 2 of the Consumer Protection Act 2019, and these dark patterns are going against the section 2 of the Consumer Protection Act. And this strategy is not only done by some small time e-commerce companies, but even the big tech players are also doing this particular thing. For example, guys, what happened in 2022, Google and Facebook, they were criticized because of their cookie banners, so basically they often show, okay, that okay, in order to customize content for you, we will collect some cookies. Okay, so now you have to give consent that whether you accept cookies, whether you don't accept cookies on the websites. Okay, so to reject cookies, option was not given. So by this particular thing, you are again forcing the consumers. Now, when we talk about, guys, the law with respect to the dark patterns, as of now, there is no specific law. There is no specific regulations with respect to the dark patterns. But recently, the European Data Protection Board issued the guidelines and provided that website designers, okay, social media platforms, how they can spot, how they can avoid the dark patterns, how they should design the platforms that dark patterns should not prevail. But as of now, some clear law which is making it punishable, which is making it is an offense, it is not there. And Department of Consumer Affairs and Advertising Standard Council of India are now looking at how we can better regulate that. But understand this particular thing, guys, that as we talk about this particular issue, only possibility is to come out with specific new rules against these deceptive designs. Fine, only by that way we can reduce that. So this is all about this particular article, guys. I hope that you have understood it. And now moving to the next article. What are the provisions of the High Sea Treaty? What are the provisions of High Sea Treaty? This article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, international treaties, international conventions, and with respect to the environment, the international treaties, there also we can see this thing. Now, first of all, guys, I want to tell you some of the basic information. Fine, and after that we will be going in this particular article. Okay, just a minute. Fine. Fine. Okay, so provisions of the High Sea Treaty. Now, guys, first of all, I would like to tell you some of the basic information. Now, suppose this is the this is the coast of a country. Till 12 nautical miles, the waters that we have from the coast till 12 nautical miles, it is the territorial waters. It is the territorial water, or you can call it as the territorial sea. Okay. Then after next 12 nautical miles, it is the contiguous waters, or contiguous seas. Okay. And then from here, from this point till 200 nautical miles, from this point till 200 nautical miles is the exclusive economic zone. Within this exclusive economic zone, the country exclusive economic zone, the country will have the sovereignty on the economic resources that are there. Okay. Then beyond this 200 nautical miles, the water that we have, we call it as high sea. Okay. And most of the ocean is the high seas. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about the high seas, as of now, the international law with respect to the high seas is that there will be the absolute freedom of navigation. No country will claim that high sea belongs to us only. Okay, whatever the resources would be found into the high seas, they will be open to all. Okay, but what about the conservation of the high sea? What about the conservation of the waters in the high sea, the species that are found under the waters in the high seas? We as of now did not had any treaty to protect the high seas. Till exclusive economic zone, territorial water, we have many treaties and frameworks, but for high seas we did not had any treaty. And in this particular direction, what has happened recently, the United Nation has adopted recently the United Nation has adopted this marine biodiversity of area beyond national jurisdiction treaty. Also, it is called as the High Sea Treaty in the short, High Sea Treaty. Now, this High Sea Treaty is signed under the UN clause, that is United Nation Convention on the Law of Seas. United Nation Convention on the Law of Seas. Under this High Sea Treaty has been signed, and it has actually been established by the International Seabed Authority. So International Seabed Authority is one which actually oversees the UN clause. And as this High Sea Treaty is under UN clause, so International Seabed Authority will be the governing body. Now, under UN clause, this is the third agreement that have been signed in 1994, 1995. Okay, this is the third agreement that has been signed under the UN clause, and it is onto the high seas. Now, understand this particular thing, guys, that the idea of protecting the high seas or the marine environment was being discussed from a long time. Since 2002, these discussions were going on. However, in 2008 only, it was recognized that we need to have an agreement which will recognize the importance of the high seas and will put some obligations. Finally, in United Nations General Assembly, a resolution was moved in 2015 that yes, we immediately have to sign some treaty on protecting the high seas. And since 2015, the negotiations were going on. And finally, recently, this high sea treaty has been approved. Okay. Now, what is the objective of this particular treaty? The objective of this particular treaty is to enforce the international regulation. First of all, come out with regulation, and secondly, enforce that particular regulation which will protect the life in the oceans. Now, these life in the oceans, I told you, the high seas are not under the control of any one country. So the life in these high seas are beyond any national boundary. So therefore, we need to protect them. We need to ensure that sea surface doesn't increases, sea surface temperature doesn't increases. There should not be the over exploitation of marine biodiversity. Today, many of the pharmaceutical companies, cosmetics companies, what they do, they're exploiting the sea salt, they are exploiting the sea soil, they are exploiting different type of algae, etc. Okay, mollusks, etc. for many products. So over exploitation of marine biodiversity should not be there. Overfishing should not be there. Coastal pollution is to be reduced. Unsustainable practices, okay, beyond the national jurisdiction should be reduced. All these particular things are there. Now, guys, further, in order to protect these, there will be the marine protected areas that will be developed. Marine protected area that will be developed. Now, in these marine protected areas, human activities will be minimized. Human activities will be minimized in these marine protected areas. Secondly, whatever the resources are being found into the marine areas, the genetic resources, they will be shared amongst all. They will be shared amongst all. Okay, scientific information with respect to the marine resources that one country is having, that have to share that information with the other countries also, so that all of them can take the advantage. A clear house mechanism will be established where the information on marine protected areas, genetic resources, information, all will be provided. Okay, then guys, the next within this high sea treaty is that we also need to come out with a treaty on marine technology and treaty on capacity building. So we need to develop the marine technologies which can help in conservation of the marine environment, which can help in reduction in the degradation of the marine environment. We have to come out with such kind of treaties, okay, and such kind of technologies, and these technologies are to be provided to everyone. However, developed countries have some problem with this high sea treaty. What is the problem? The problem is that actually, guys, understand this thing, that there are many of the research organization which are based in developed countries, many of the pharmaceutical companies that are based into the developed countries, and they are saying this particular thing. They are saying this particular thing, that if you come out with this high sea treaty, accessing the marine resource will become very much difficult. Accessing the marine resource, using the marine resource will become very much difficult. So therefore, they have opposed this particular thing. Okay, so this is all the issues in this particular direction that we have. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Limits of expansion. So this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 3, issues related to the food security. Issues related to food security. Now, basically, guys, from the past few days, we have discussed this particular article multiple number of times. So basically, see this thing, that see, under National Food Security Act, government has promised that subsidized food grains will be provided to 66% population of the country. However, under National Food Security Act, maximum of the 5 kg food grains per person are provided. But many of the state government, for example, the Karnataka, they have promised as the part of their election manifesto that we will provide not 5 kg but 10 kg of the food grains. Okay, so how they will give this additional 5 kg? That is, they are promising 10 kg, but under NFSA they get only 5. How additional 5 kg that they will be giving? Okay, so earlier the states such as Karnataka, they thought that they will buy the food grain from the Food Corporation of India. Now, there is this open market sale scheme that is there. Open market sale scheme. Under the open market sale scheme, at a predetermined price, any private player, any corporate, even the state government can buy the food grain from the Food Corporation of India. But recently what has happened, the government has issued the new guidelines and has put the limit as how much food you can procure under the open market sales scheme. Okay, and the limits have been drastically reduced. Now the governments such as Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, they have asked the government that you please remove this particular restriction, because if you will put this restriction that maximum amount of food grain that you can procure is 100 ton only, for example 10 ton only, then how we will feed the people, how we will fulfill our promise? But and for that particular thing, recently the food ministers meeting happened, and in that food ministers meeting, the union food minister had said that this ban on the open market sale scheme will not be reduced. The condition that has been there, limits that have been imposed, they will not be reduced. Now guys, the central government provides this particular argument that first of all, right now there is the food inflation going on, and therefore we want to provide food to the other small players also, so that they can sell it into the market. If there are no limits for the state government, then the state governments will procure all the food. How that food will reach to the small players? Okay, so we want to extend the increase of this particular scheme. Okay, so therefore they have said that we will not going to remove this particular limit ban. Now, the state government are saying that for the political reason this is being done. For example, in Karnataka there is Congress government. So they said this thing that deliberately the BJP government at center is bringing these particular bans so that the Congress government in Karnataka is not able to fulfill their promise. Now, guys, in this particular capacity, first of all, the center needs to understand such particular kind of things, that if the Food Corporation of India will not give them the food, then what will happen? Then the state government has to buy food from the open market. And if they will buy the food from the open market, the prices in the open market for the rice and wheat will go up. Inflation, food inflation will again go high. It will not solve any problem. Secondly, this controversy should also send the message to the states that states are making often the promises which they know that they don't have much power. For example, when we talk about the food sector, the Union government, Food Corporation of India has the maximum power to procure the food. Okay, they are dependent onto the center, and when they are dependent on somebody else, why they made these kind of hefty promises? Now the Karnataka government has found a way to solve it. They say that apart if we are not able to give you the 10 kg food, we'll give you the cash transfer. We will transfer the money in your account. You buy the food at your own. But the state governments often needs to be mindful while coming out with these particular schemes. Okay, so that is all about it. And now moving to the next article, internationalizing the rupee without the coin tossing. Now this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 3, issues related to the Indian economy. Now let's discuss this particular article. Now first of all guys, understand what is the meaning of this particular word, that is internationalizing the rupee. So basically guys, recently the government has issued a long term map as how to internationalize the rupee. Now basically what do we mean by the internationalization? We want that the rupee should be used into the international transactions. Right now in the international transactions, import export, dollar is being used. So in the place of that dollar, we want rupees usage. So that is the internationalization. Now here a beautiful background has been given where it is saying that actually Indian rupee was the currency of international trade. Internationally it was freely used. So when we talk about the 1950s, during that time UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, fine, they were actually using the Indian rupee as well as Indian rupee with the basically they were purchasing rupee with the pound sterling, and rupee was used within their countries for the transactions, for the trade they were using the rupee. Okay, however in 1959 what happened, Indian government created the Gulf rupee, created a Gulf rupee. Now suppose we have 10 rupee note, there will be two types of 10 rupee note. One 10 rupee note that you use in India, and other 10 rupee note, different look, different type of 10 rupee note that is to be used into the Gulf region for trade transaction. That was called as the Gulf rupee. So that Gulf rupee was introduced so that that will be a separate type of a currency for that particular place. Okay, and the holders of the currency was given 6 weeks to exchange that. Happened, not problem. In 1966, India devalued the currency. India devalued the currency in 1966. Okay. Now, as devaluation of the Indian currency happens, what happened? This was the first time that the global investors, faced a kind of a confidence crisis in Indian rupee. Okay. And what happened? They got this particular kind of an idea that we should come out with our own currencies. We cannot depend on the other currency, that is rupee. And gradually what happened, oil revenue also started to come in these particular countries, and slowly they introduced their own sovereign currencies. And India, as a rupee, as a currency that was used here for the trade, it was replaced. Now guys, the author is saying this thing that okay, confidence erosion in a currency can become a reason that we don't use that currency too much, and that that confidence erosion has been done by the government successive number of times. For example, recently government decided that 2000 rupees will be withdrawn. Now this particular thing has impacted the confidence in the rupee. Fine, let's say a person in USA is having the 2000 rupee note. Now that note is to be exchanged. So the people lost that confidence. Demonetization happened in 2016. That point of a time, Bhutan and Nepal lost the confidence in Indian rupee. Why? Because a lot of transactions in the Bhutan and Nepal happens in the Indian rupee, and all those particular money got demonetized. They have to exchange it, and a lot of currency did not got exchanged in the time being. So it has impacted. So the article is talking about that confidence in a particular currency has to be retained if you are proposing that currency to be the currency for international trade. Now, some of the steps that India has taken to internationalize the rupee is that first of all guys, external commercial borrowings, okay, that we are, the money that are being borrowed, Fine. These external commercial borrowings, earlier they were done in terms of dollar, now they will be done in terms of rupee. Moreover, basically rupee Vostro accounts have been opened up. Now guys, to understand this rupee, the Vostro account issue. See, with Russia, we signed the Russia rupee ruble agreement. In this rupee ruble agreement, it was agreed that, let's say we are importing anything from Russia, we will pay Russia in terms of rupee. Russia will use the same rupee when Russia will buy anything from India. Okay, so basically guys, there will be the Vostro accounts that will be opened where this currency will be kept. Okay, so we opened such kind of accounts. Then guys, with UAE, Sri Lanka, Mauritius, okay, and approximately 18 countries, we have decided that the trade will be done in terms of rupee. Trade will be done in terms of rupee. So by this particular thing also, the rupee's acceptance will be increased. However, guys, the next thing is that we need to ensure that the rupee is freely convertible. Capital account convertibility of rupee is not 100%. Now, guys, suppose a person is coming in India and wants to start a business. For that, they will bring the money. Okay. So basically, capital account convertibility. Now, you are bringing money. But again, guys, if you want to wind up your business, you will sell your business and you will take back the money. So when you are taking back the money, okay, understand this thing. Obviously, suppose I am a foreign investor. I came in India, I started my business. I invested a lot of money. Now I want to wind up and go back. I will sell my business. I will get a lot of rupee. That rupee I have now to convert in dollar and I have to take back. Okay. So for the capital purposes, the 100% capital account convertibility is not there in India. So this is something which we need to do because the basically the international currency, for example, dollar, it has the full capital account convertibility. Now, even if you take the example of China, so China has internationalized their currency, renminbi, okay, and in this particular thing, they have taken a planned approach. Okay, they have basically they are going for they have increased the convertibility of the renminbi. Okay, they are also ensuring that in the renminbi, the currency of China. So we also have to take a long-term approach. And what long-term approach India can take? Let's discuss these particular steps one by one. Now, first of all, we need to ensure that that the rupee is fully convertible, as I just discussed 1 minute back. So full convertibility of rupee, okay, capital account convertibility of rupee should be there. Then Indian exporters and importers should be encouraged to invoice their transactions in rupee. Now, suppose I am importing any product from America or I am exporting any product to England. So value of that particular transaction will be noted in terms of dollar, not in rupee. So invoicing should be done in terms of rupee. Then currency swap agreements with Sri Lanka, as we have done. Such currency swap agreements we can do with other countries also. So that between the two countries, the acceptance of rupee and domestic currency increases. Then the tax incentives can be given to the foreign businesses so that they utilize rupee in the transaction. So there are, let's say, many of the overseas companies that are there in India, American companies, British companies. If they are doing any transaction with the third country, that transaction should be done in rupee. If you do that, we will give you some incentive. Okay, such kind of things could be there. And the Tarapur committee recommended that we need to reduce our fiscal deficit to less than 3.5%. Inflation is to be reduced to 3 to 5%. Okay, a non-performing asset should be less than 5%. Okay, why these particular things will be helpful? These particular things, guys, as see, if the country's economic indicators are strong, if inflation is under control, if a country's NPA are less, if a country's fiscal deficit is under control, it gives a confidence to the other countries in the economic stability of the home country. So this is something that is to be done. Fine. So these particular all things will help further in increasing the confidence in India and confidence in the Indian rupee. So that is all about this article. Then we have this article, India needs a uniform civil code. So guys, from so many of the days, this UCC issue is going on in the news. We'll see it for GS1 and GS paper number 2. Now, first of all, guys, telling you the article doesn't contains that much of substance. Okay, the article is more or less very generic in nature. Why I am saying it is generic in the nature? Because we have discussed many articles which really contained some very deep and meaningful insights. So let's say that what the article is talking about. Okay. So basically, uniform civil code, what it means? Uniform civil code. First of all, uniform civil code means that there needs to be the same law. There needs to be the same law for the civil practices. In the civil law, marriage, divorce, adoption and inheritance largely comes. So right now for marriage, adoption, divorce and inheritance, different communities have their different laws. But under UCC, a same law would be brought. Now the article is saying that the Constituent Assembly debated a lot on the Uniform Civil Code. Even Dr. Ambedkar, fine, he said that UCC will be important in bringing the gender equality and will eradicate the social evils. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also supported. But the article is not mentioning this thing, that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also said after this that but such UCC should only come when the people are ready to adopt it. Okay, anyhow, moving on. After that, guys, there were a lot of discussion in Constituent Assembly that Uniform Civil Code should be brought, but finally a consensus could not be reached. So we added in Article 44 of the Directive Principle of State Policy that the state should try to secure the UCC. Now then the article says that even the Supreme Court in multiple judgments have supported the idea of UCC. However, Supreme Court had said that if UCC is to be brought or not, final law will be brought by the parliament. It falls into the domain of the parliament at the end of the day. Now the article is saying this particular thing, that when we talk about, guys, UCC, why UCC is important? UCC will create a unified legal framework for all the personal laws, and by this particular thing we will be able to ensure that there is no gender discrimination. Everybody enjoys their fundamental rights. The law of the land should be uniform. It will eliminate discriminatory practices, the sense of inequality that is there. It will eradicate it. A kind of a sense of cohesion, national unity, integrity. All these particular things will come. So this is just that we need to have the UCC. Now guys, much substance is not given in the article. I told you in the first. For example, there were no such elaborate mention of some kind of thinkers' viewpoints, some Supreme Court specific judgments, etc. But anyhow, we will see over the period of time. We will see over the period of time whether the UCC comes or not. Okay, should internet shutdowns be used to maintain public order? Now, we'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 2, right to internet. Now, right now, guys, you might be seeing the Manipur issue that going on, Manipur crisis that was going on. And during the Manipur crisis, there were the internet shutdowns that were there. In Jammu and Kashmir, internet shutdowns that have been there. And if we talk about the internet shutdowns, then since 2016 until 2022, 60% of the internet shutdowns in the world, they happened in India. So 60% of world's internet shutdowns in India. And the reason is that in 40 to 50%, why internet shutdown is done? It is said that because of the communal tension. Then even for the reasons such as preventing the cheating during the exam, internet has been shut down. When the religious processions are being taken up, the internet is shut down. Now, the problem is that we have Article 19, Article 21, which contains the fundamental right. Article 19 contains the freedom of speech and expression. Article 21 contains the right to life and liberty. And Article 21A contains the right to education. Okay, all these particular rights, they get suspended when the internet is suspended. Okay, why? Because guys, when the internet is suspended, you cannot take entertainment, you cannot take education, you cannot order food, you can't do a lot of things. Even a lot of businesses are today working on the basis of internet. So stopping the internet is suspending the fundamental right, Article 19 and 21 for in all such kind of situations. Now, further guys, when we talk about the Supreme Court in judgment, that is the Anuradha Bhasin judgment, provided this thing that the right to internet has to be preserved and arbitrary shutdown of the internet should not be happen. Okay, now guys, when we talk about the internet shutdown, understand this particular thing, that internet shutdown happens on the ground of threat to national sovereignty, integrity, defense, but proportionality is also important. Okay, when national integrity, sovereignty, national security is a point of concern, internet shutdown can be brought. But how? Just as to stop the cheating in the exam, the internet is being shut down. It is not proportional. Now, when we talk about the internet shutdowns, where the provisions of internet shutdown is mentioned, so we have the Information Technology Act 2000, IT Act 2000. We have the Temporary Suspension of Telecom Services Rules 2017, which gives the power to the government that they can block the website or the internet. But again, the problem is that whenever we block the internet, the fundamental right article 1921 will be suspended. Even today, the internet and an OTP is needed for every service. You want to order food, you want to do anything, and how that thing is democratic in the present times. Such a debate, discussion should happen. So this is, guys, all about this particular article. Fine. Now moving to the next article. Finance Ministry pushes for reform to spur FDI. Now this article will see with respect to GS paper number 3, issues related to Indian economy. So basically, guys, what has happened when we talk about the foreign direct investment that are coming in India, the foreign direct investment basically has been dipped down. So when we talk about the FDI, last year FDI slid 16%. FDI were 16% less compared to the $84.8 billion of FDI that we received in the financial year 21-22. So last year FDIs were 16% less, and now the finance ministry has made this pitch that we need to come out with the strong measures to improve the FDI again. Why the FDI is going down? Now, according to finance ministry, FDI is going down because of the geopolitical issue that has dominated more than the geography. A person of USA is not coming to India not because the India is far away, not because of geography, but because of geopolitical reason. Right now, this Russia-Ukraine war is going on. The crisis in the global politics is going on. So because of these geopolitical issues, the investors are not confident enough to bring the investments, and therefore the FDI has got impacted. Okay, so this is something. Then, guys, there is also one more. Now this is actually, I liked this point very much. One more reason that why the FDI has got fragmented, it is because of this friend shoring phenomena. Friend shoring phenomena. Now the friend shoring phenomena was started by the USA. Friend shoring means that we will prefer that our investors should go only to that country which are allied to our values. So Russia will have some friends, China will have some friends, America will have some friends. They will send the investment only to those countries which they consider them as a friend. Now this friend shoring, what it has done, it has led to the fragmentation of the FDI. Fine. Earlier FDI, I am an investor, all the countries were open to me. But suppose now I am an investor in USA. USA will ask me that you should go only to these 10 countries. So this will lead to the fragmentation of the FDI, which is not good. Then secondly, this carbon border adjustment mechanism also is going to further impact the Indian exports. Now this is a different point which has come, not related to FDI. But for exports, the carbon border adjustment mechanism has been discussed. We have discussed it many number of times. What is carbon border adjustment mechanism? The European Union has come out with a proposal that if the European Union countries are importing the good from any one country which have produced that good by creating a lot of carbon emissions, then an additional custom duty will be imposed. Okay, so this will be impacting Indian exports going to there. More custom duties on Indian exports might be imposed. So it will be impacting the exports. So for FDI, friend shoring is impacting FDI. For exports, carbon border adjustment mechanism will impact the exports. However, for employment, we are hopeful that better employment will be created because of more digitalization, technological advancement, government coming out with the new schemes such as the production linked incentive scheme for manufacturing sector. So that will happen. Then, guys, moving to the next article. Supreme Court asks NGO to move center against the issue of Sarpanch Patism in politics. Now, guys, this is a kind of a misfortunate thing that is happening. What is this phenomena? So we have this phenomena of Sarpanch Pati, Sarpanch Devar, Pradhan Pati. Okay, or Sarpanch Sasur is also a phenomena. So of now guys, you might be knowing this particular thing, that as per the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, Panchayati Raj institution got constitutionalized, and 30 one-third reservation into the Panchayati Raj institutions, one-third seats in the PRIs is reserved for the women. Now often what is happening, the women are being floated as candidates, they get elected as the panchayat member, but in their place their husband is making the law, their husband is taking the decision, their father-in-law is taking the decision, okay, their brother-in-law is ruling on the behalf of these women. It is called as the pradhan pati, sarpanch pati concept. So there are the faceless wives and faceless daughters-in-law on whose behalf their husbands, their brother-in-law are ruling. So one of the NGO, that is the Mundona Rural Development Foundation, they reached to Supreme Court that you please rule on this thing, come out with some ruling. Now the Supreme Court has said that you please go to center government. Okay, so they have said that you please go to the Ministry of Panchayati Raj, they will take this matter, we cannot take. Okay, so this is something that has happened. Now moving to the next article. Okay, so Supreme Court asks UGC to detail actions taken against caste discrimination. So basically guys, we have seen this particular thing that in the past few months, large number of students, particularly the scheduled caste students, had committed suicides in the higher educational institutions. And often this happens because of the discrimination that they face there. So UGC, University Grants Commission, has been asked that what steps you have taken. Now guys, in this particular direction, the petitioners have suggested some of the reforms that you can recommend in your answers. For example, they have urged that there needs to be, number one, strict enforcement of UGC Promotion of Equity in Higher Education Regulation 2012, which promotes more diversity, which promotes that people from different religion, different caste should come, and they not should only come in the higher educational institution, but they should be provided all the opportunities. Secondly, it has also been provided that the educational institution should create these equal opportunity cells, which will receive the complaint from the students if they are being harassed on the basis of their caste, religion, etc. Then on the websites, the universities should add the measures what they have taken to eliminate the caste-based discrimination. As well as one more recommendation is there, National Assessment and Accreditation Council, which gives the accreditation to the higher educational institutions and their courses. They should also cater to the diversity and affirmative action policy. Those institutions should be incentivized, those institutions, universities should be incentivized, which I have developed a good environment for promoting diversity, which are giving the good atmosphere to the people of the low caste, minority religions, etc. And there is also the Sukhdev Thorat Committee, which have found that there is a lot of caste-based discrimination that is going on in the campuses of the institutions. So this name of the Sukhdev Thorat Committee you can also give, that it noted a lot of discrimination is going on, and for that all these ready-made way forwards are there, which you please note down in your notebook and add. Okay, moving on guys, and then we have this particular article. You don't need to go too much in detail. So article says that India will need at least 20 lakh deep tech engineers by 2030. Okay, now basically guys, understand this particular thing, that we are going to have a lot of demand for semiconductors, okay, artificial intelligence, machine to machine learning. So we need to have engineers, we need to have the engineers who will specialize in the semiconductors, electronic design manufacturing. Okay, so we need to have 20 lakh deep tech engineers who will be meeting the requirement of the deep tech, for the artificial intelligence, semiconductors, etc. Okay, so this is the requirement. Now again guys, not need to follow this article, but this fact can be used in our answers, that why we need to invest into such kind of higher educations which will instill the deep tech skills. And lastly, we have the main practice question for today. The question says, freedom of speech and expression is not an absolute right, but shutdowns cannot happen for frivolous reason. Critically analyze. So this will be a 10 marker question for GS paper number 2. That is all guys for this, and I hope that you have understood. Okay sir, मेरा finally OTA में हो गया. Congratulations Aditi to you, and I wish you more success. So guys, that is all for today. Now we'll meet tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.